Aliyah never used to travel much. She was a simple country girl from St. Anne, raised by her granny after her mother left when she was just 5 years old. Granny said her mother went to Kingston to look for work, but she never came back. So, from that day, Granny raised Aliyah like she was her own child. They lived in a small house where Granny planted sweet pepper, thyme, and 2 rows of kalalu at the back. Every Saturday, Aliyah would walk with Granny to the market, helping her to sell fruits and bush tea to travelers and townspeople. They never had much, but Granny always said, "Peace better than pocket full of pain." Aliyah was now 24, but she had no boyfriend yet, and Granny always told her to wait on God. But deep inside, Aliyah was starting to feel lonely. All her friends in the district had either gone to Kingston or married off. Some even had 2 children already. One Thursday morning, Granny sent her to town alone because she was feeling pain in her knee and couldn't walk. So, Aliyah dressed up in her best skirt and pink blouse, brushed her hair smooth, and walked down to catch the morning bus. The bus was late like always, and the sun was already hot by 8 o'clock. When it finally came, people rushed and packed up inside, squeezing their shoulders. Aliyah got a seat by the window. She was fanning herself with her hands when the door opened again, and a man that made her heart skip 2 beats stepped in. He was tall and brown-skinned, dressed in a black shirt and jeans that fit him just right. His shoes shone like mirror, and he smelled like those perfume Aliyah only smelled in magazine paper. When he stopped to look at her, she forgot how to breathe for a moment. "Sit take," he asked, pointing to the spot beside her. Aliyah shook her head and shifted, trying not to stare too much. He sat down confidently, pulled out his phone and started scrolling. But after a while, he turned to her. "Me name Mario. Why your name beautiful?" She tried to hide her smile. "Aliyah. Nice name. You're from round here?" She nodded, thinking he would end at that, but he continued talking. His voice was like sweet syrup and full of compliments. He told her he was from Kingston, ran an import-export business, and just came to the countryside to see some family. "You ever come Kingston before?" he asked. Aliyah shook her head. "Me not travel much. Me could show you around sometime. Take you somewhere nice. You're too pretty and stay locked up in a bush." She smiled shyly, as no man had ever talked to her like that before. Not in that kind of way. Mario kept chatting with her the whole ride, asking about her life, complimenting on how decent and clean she looked, and how he couldn't believe she was single. By the time the bus reached town, Aliyah felt like she was floating. He offered to carry her bag, and she allowed him. He even waited while she finished Granny's errands. Then he walked her back to the bus stop. Before she boarded, he looked at her in the eyes and said, "Me can't stop thinking about you, Aliyah. Me need to see you again. Give me your number, huh?" She smiled and gave him her number. When she got back home, Granny was peeling yam at the veranda. Aliyah was still smiling to herself when Granny looked up. "What make you smiling so, eh?" Aliyah just shrugged and tried to hide her joy, but Granny stared long and hard, as if she could see straight through her. After a long pause, she said, "Me hope I no man me see in your eye, cause not every sweet tongue come with good intention." Aliyah just brushed it off. Granny wouldn't understand. Finally, after all these years of waiting, maybe this was it. Maybe love finally found her. The second time Aliyah saw Mario was 3 days after that bus ride. He showed up in her district just like he said he would, but still, she was shocked. Not many Kingston men came up there unless they were looking for cheap land or running from the police. But there he was, leaning on a beautiful white car, dressed in a fine shirt and jeans, looking like one of those men from music videos. Aliyah was shy at first, but she liked how he looked at her, like she was special, how he held her hand without letting go, and how he walked proudly beside her. Mario told her about his house in Mona, the new car he wanted to buy, and the many business trips he was planning to Miami. However, when Aliyah asked him what exactly he imported and exported, he said, "Me deal with different things, sometimes phone parts, sometimes clothes. You know how Kingston stay, hustle and grind." Aliyah nodded, pretending to understand. She did not want to ruin the moment, but inside, something felt off. Still, she told herself that she was overthinking. After all, people in Kingston lived differently. Maybe that's just how they talk. After an hour of strolling and laughing, Mario said he would love to meet her granny properly next time, and that he would also love to take Aliyah to Kingston soon. That evening, Aliyah told Granny everything. She left out some of the flattery though, but she talked about how respectful he seemed and how serious he sounded. Granny sighed and looked her dead in the eye. "Aliyah, look here, me no know this man and me can judge him harsh, but me old and me spirit always talk to me and me spirit no accept him." Aliyah looked away. "Granny, you always think everybody bad." "No," Granny shook her head. "Me just know when storm coming before rain show up, and me not stop here, but me I beg you, go slow, pray, watch and listen." Aliyah nodded, but inside, she already made up her mind. She was tired of being the girl left behind, tired of fetching water alone while other girls posted couple photos, and tired of waiting when Mario made her feel seen and wanted. However, that same afternoon, as Aliyah walked back from the market through the old river bank, she heard a voice. "Me spirit now feel good about that man, me chile." It was Razion, sitting under his almond tree with his long dreadlocks wrapped in a red scarf. His eyes were closed, as if he was listening to the wind itself. Aliyah stopped and looked at him. "Me? You're talking to me, Rasta man?" He opened one eyes and nodded slowly. "From the first day him step foot here, me feel it. Darkness a follow him. Woman weep upon him name. His spirits mix up, and you're too pure for that kind of energy." Aliyah frowned. "But you not know him. You never talk to him." Razion sighed and looked towards the sky. "Me no need fi talk to snake, fi no say snake fi bite. The drum beats in me chest, tell me, and me don't tell you." Aliyah was angry by now. People always want fi ruin good things. Maybe you're just jealous cause him successful. Razion smiled. "When you're ready for truth, me stay under this tree." Aliyah quickly walked away. She had never been disrespectful to an elder before, but she was hurt and confused. Why was everyone trying to stop her joy? That night, she laid in bed trying to sleep, but she couldn't stop hearing Razion's voice echoing around her. Him carried darkness with him. For a moment, she started wondering, what if? But Mario called that night, and with his sweet voice he said, "Baby, me miss you. Soon come carry you go Kingston. Me promise, you're not go suffer no more." So she pushed the doubt aside, closed her eyes and smiled. "Me trust you, Mario." One Sunday afternoon, Mario came to visit Aliyah again, and this time as they sat in the car, he pulled her close. "Me can't wait no longer, baby. Me want fi marry you. Me serious. Me can't sleep at night. Me think about you every minute." Aliyah froze. "Marry me so Soon. Me don't know your heart already, and me want you safe beside me. No more separation. Aliyah's head spun. Marriage? This fast? She searched her heart and she felt two things: fear and longing. Fear of the unknown and longing to belong to someone. But the second feeling conquered, so she agreed. Mario said he would sort out everything. It would be a small wedding with just the both of them, her granny and two of his close business friends. Then he would take her straight to Kingston. When Aliyah told Granny just held her hands tight. Aliyah, you sure this is love and not escape? Marriage not fit fix emptiness, it just expose it. Aliyah pulled her hands away gently. Me ready, Granny. Me tired of waiting, tired of selling pepper and cassava, tired of being alone. Granny didn't say another word, but later that night, Aliyah heard her crying softly into her pillow. 2 weeks later, the wedding happened in a rented guest house. Aliyah wore a beautiful lace dress that Mario's cousin brought from town, and her heart beat hard as the guests clapped when she walked out. But something felt wrong. First of all, none of Mario's family came. He said they stopped supporting him since he left the church and started his business. Then, the two men who stood beside him never smiled for once. They just watched Aliyah like hawks, giving eye language to each other. And there was a slim brown-skinned woman in red lipstick and tight red dress, sitting in the corner with her arms folded, looking at Aliyah as if she was sizing her up. Aliyah's stomach twisted. She looked around, looking for a familiar face, but there was none except for Granny. The pastor said the vows quickly, and Mario barely looked at her in the eye when he said, "I do." And when it was time to kiss, he only pressed his lips softly on her cheek, not her mouth. Aliyah felt her throat dry up, but everybody clapped. They moved on to cutting the cake, and then they took pictures. Later that night, in the guest room, Aliyah tried to get close. She leaned in, smiling nervously. "Tonight, me finally yours, Mario." But he pulled away, saying he was tired. He laid on the bed with his full clothes on, turned his back to her, and slept off. Just like that. Aliyah laid on the other side, staring at the ceiling. Something cold crawled under her skin. She blinked her tears away and convinced herself that he was just nervous and tired from the wedding. But around 2 a.m., she had a strange dream. She saw herself standing in a river, dressed in a black wedding gown, and Mario was there, but he was holding the hand of the woman in red. They both laughed as the water rose around Aliyah and pulled her under. She woke up gasping for air, but when she turned, she saw Mario still sleeping unbothered. The next day, they drove straight to Kingston. Aliyah kept looking out of the window, thinking about Granny, about Razion's warning, and about how her wedding night had no joy. Kingston was loud, fast, and full of things Aliyah had never seen before. There were tall buildings that reached the sky, cars honking every second, and people walking fast as if they were chasing something unseen. When Mario's car pulled up in front of a grey apartment building in Halfway Tree, Aliyah almost held her breath. The place looked fancy, from the gates, the flowers, to the water fountain. However, as soon as she stepped inside the apartment, something felt cold. Yes, the place had nice furniture, big flat screen TV, leather couch, marble-like kitchen counter, but there were no photos, no noise, and no sense of human presence. It was dead silent. Mario barely talked to her after they moved in. He started leaving early before sunrise, saying he had meetings. He would come back late, sometimes past midnight, with no details or explanations. At first, Aliyah ignored the attitude and tried to be a good wife. She would cook meals and decorate the place to make it feel like home. But things began to go downhill. She started feeling tired all the time. Her chest felt tight and her back ached like she carried heavy load all day, even when she only just woke up. Then her appetite disappeared. She would cook, then push the food round the plate like a child. Her reflection in the mirror started to change also. Her eyes were sinking and her beautiful thick hair started falling out in strands. She went to the pharmacy down the road to get medication, and the woman asked if she was pregnant, but Aliyah shook her head. "Me husband not touch me since wedding night." The woman looked at her strangely. "You sure you all right, miss?" She gave her some medicine and Aliyah walked back home in silence. That evening, Aliyah decided to clean under the bed. Her scarf had fallen under there earlier, but when she bent and pointed her flashlight there, she saw something wrapped in a cloth. She pulled it out slowly and opened it. It was a small brown box tied with a red string. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. Inside, she saw long hair strands tightly bound together with a black thread, a red old lace panties, and 4 river stones that were wet as if they were just pulled from the water. Aliyah screamed and dropped the box. "Mario, what is?" Mario came from the living room looking annoyed. "Ya dig under bed like rats? What ya do?" She pointed to the box. "Explain this. What this mean?" Mario looked at it and paused. Then he laughed. "You country girl too superstitious. A old thing from me past. Leave it alone. But why you still have it? Why river stone dey under your bed?" Mario's face hardened and his jaw clenched. "Aliyah, me I beg ya, don't start. Just behave yourself. Me have enough stress already." And with that, he took the box and locked it in a drawer. That night, Aliyah dreamt again. This time, she was lying in a coffin made of water. Mario was standing above it, pouring more water into her while whispering, "Me have keep ya shut. Ya wasn't chosen for love, just for cover." She woke up crying and choking on nothing. Aliyah decided to go to a church the following Sunday. She dressed modestly, covered her hair, and walked to a nearby Pentecostal church she found on Google. The moment she stepped in, the usher smiled at her and handed her a pamphlet. The worship was loud and the preaching was louder, but Aliyah sat quietly, asking God, "What me I walk into? Please help me." But halfway through the message, her chest started burning and she felt like hundreds of ants were crawling under her skin. She tried to stand up and leave, but her legs gave way and she fell. Ushers rushed to her side immediately. Aliyah passed out cold. When she woke up later, she was lying on a bench and a church mother was holding her hand. "Pickney, you're in a danger. Somebody don't marry you spiritually before you even reach that altar. You're sleeping in bondage." Aliyah stared at her, still scared. "Me husband, he hide things. He say he love me." The woman shook her head. "This not love. This manipulation. This man tied to something deep. Water spirits, blood offering, covenants, and the worst part is he no even claim you're proper. You're just there as covering for the real bride." Aliyah couldn't speak. She couldn't breathe. All the dreams, the shadows, and the sickness, it all made sense now. She tried to pack out the next day. She moved fast, stuffing clothes into a bag. But just as she zipped the bag, a loud bang echoed in the living room. She ran out and saw Mario standing there with his eyes wide. "Ah, where you going? You think you can just walk out?" He shoved the bag from her hand. "Me don't sacrifice too much for you. You can leave. You belong to me." Aliyah stood frozen. His voice didn't sound like his own. It was deeper and hollow. She cried all night, and 2 days later, her auntie in Spanish Town, the only relative willing to take her in, suffered a sudden stroke. That was when Aliyah knew that she couldn't just leave. Whatever she married into had her chained. Things got so worse that Aliyah could barely recognize herself. Her once glowing glowing brown skin was now pale and dry. Her cheeks had sunken, her eyes were dull, and the apartment, even though it was still filled with fine things, now felt like a scary prison. Mario was becoming more unpredictable. Sometimes he was calm and sweet and would bring her Chinese food or play reggae music and ask her to dance. But other times he would disappear for 3 nights straight, turn off his phone and return smelling like smoke. When she asked where he went, he would frown and say, "Me out doing business, you can't understand, just know me providing." But Aliyah didn't feel provided for. She was no longer sleeping. Her dreams were now getting darker. She would see herself chained in water. Sometimes she would hear children calling her name, and every morning she would wake up with her pillow soaked in water she couldn't explain. One night, she dreamt of Zion again. This time, he was standing by the river barefoot, holding a lamp. In the dream, he said, "If you want truth, hear her face the water." She woke up sweating. Her chest was heavy and her spirit was shaking. That same day, Mario left early. He said he had to go handle something deep in Clarendon, but he was careless. He left his keys on the counter. Aliyah saw it, opened the door and followed him. She hired a local taxi man and asked him to trail Mario's car from a distance. The drive was long, almost 2 hours. They passed through bush roads until Mario's car turned down a narrow road with thick bamboo on both sides. The driver was uncomfortable at this point. "Miss, me not like this place. This not look normal." Aliyah nodded. "Me no, just wait here." She stepped out and tiptoed from behind. The road led to a river bank which was hidden and looked sacred. She crouched low behind a tree, and what she saw stole breath from her lungs. Mario was standing barefoot in the shallow parts of the river, wearing a white robe with another woman who was tall, light-skinned with long dreadlocks and a red scarf around her waist. She stood beside him, also barefoot. Both of them had candles floating in calabash bowls. An old woman in a red wrap and white dress was speaking in a strange language to them. She held a live chicken in one hand and a bottle of whiskey in the other. Aliyah's mouth opened in shock. She leaned forward on instinct, not realizing when she stepped on a dry stick. A loud crack came and Mario's head turned sharply. Their eyes locked and he stared at her as if she was a ghost. "Aliyah, you follow me." She backed away in fear. What you are doing? Who's she? What this?" The woman in the river turned slowly. Her eyes were cold and familiar. Instantly, Aliyah realized it was the same woman from her wedding day, the woman in red lipstick who never smiled, the same one who has been haunting her in her dreams. Mario stepped out of the river and walked towards her. "Aliyah, you don't understand. You shouldn't be here," she screamed. "Understand what? You marry me already." But Mario shouted back, "You wasn't the real wife. You was the covering, the offering, the one way fi make the river accept the union." Aliyah fell to her knees. "So, me life, me pain, all this was ritual?" He nodded. "Not personal. The river asked for balance. Me have to give it." Suddenly, the old woman started chanting again. The woman in the river laughed. Candles blew out and wind rose from nowhere. Aliyah wasted no time. She ran off without looking back. Even when her slippers fell off, she did not stop. When she reached the road, she banged on the taxi door. Driver, me beg ya, drive." Back in Kingston, Aliyah locked herself in the bathroom and cried until her voice went hoarse. All the pieces fit now. The dreams, the box under the bed, the refusal to consummate their marriage, the woman in red lipstick, and the sickness. She wasn't a wife. She was an exchange. Her soul had been used like currency. Just then, her phone rang. It was Granny. Aliyah broke down on the call. "Granny, me make mistake. Me not listen. Him dey use me. Me feel me I go dead, Granny. Me feel like me gone. Granny cried too. Come home, Pikni. Come back to where love still real. Me don prepare your bed, but before you enter me yard, go to Razion. Him wait upon you. Aliyah wiped her tears. She had gone to the river for truth, but now she had to go to the Rasta for freedom. Aliyah didn't let Mario know that she was leaving. She waited till he had gone again early in the morning. Then quietly, she packed her few things. By noon, she got to St. Anne and went straight to the river. Razion was sitting on the stone meditating with his eyes closed as usual. When he heard her footsteps, he did not open his eyes. He just said, "Me did tell you, but you never listen." Aliyah dropped to her knees in front of him and cried, "Me sorry, Raz. Me sorry, me disrespect ya. Me sorry, me doubt ya warning. But me feel like me dying. Me feel like me can live unless me get free." Razion finally opened his eyes, and when he looked at her, his expression changed. Them tie you with river rope, marry your name in spirit, use your womb, fee exchange with marine powers. You never understand, but your spirits become bridge, feed them dark covenants. You're not mad, you're just under bondage. Aliyah froze. So, me never imagine it all. He shook his head. No, me child, spirit world more real than this. But no worry, if you are ready for obedience, cleansing possible, but it's not nice. This kind come with fire. Aliyah nodded. Me ready. Me can live so no more. The cleansing began that very night. Razion sent word to 3 elder women from another parish, warrior women known for deliverance prayers and spiritual welfare. They came with their own bottles of anointing oil mixed with herbs. For 21 nights, Aliyah couldn't sleep on a bed. She slept on mats laid on the floor in Razion's bamboo hut. Each night, they began with Psalms, Psalm 51, 35, 109 and 91. They rubbed her head with oil, bathed her feet in salt water, and made her vomit out black mucor and dirt. One night, she coughed until a frog jumped out of her mouth. On the 8th night, snakes started showing up outside the hut. They were harmless but symbolic. Razion burnt incense and read from Revelation. Then, by midnight on the 12th day, Mario showed up barefoot with red eyes. He looked as if he hadn't eaten in days. He stood at the gate crying, "Aliyah, me sorry, me sorry, me swear, me sorry, me life and mash up, me see fire in a me sleep, me not sleep in days." Aliyah wanted to stand, but Razion blocked her with a bamboo stick. "No, if you touch him, your covenant return. You're halfway out the cage. Don't look back like Lot's wife." Razion shouted out to Mario, "Go back for your river, go on." And with that, Mario screamed as if something burned him and ran off into the bush. Aliyah fell to the ground weeping. By the 18th night, her skin started healing and the dream stopped. On the last day of the deliverance, she walked into the river barefoot, led by Razion and the women wearing all white. They dipped her gently and she felt a sharp pain, then release. When they pulled her out, she fell on the river bank, soaked and weak, but clean in spirit and soul. Later that evening, she sat beside the fire with Razion. "The women say me can't have picnic again. They say me womb damage." Razion looked at her calmly. "Your birth nation now, not just picnic. Your testimony go wake many from slumber. Sometimes you have to die spiritually, feel rise again as warrior." 3 weeks after the cleansing, Aliyah woke up one morning and sat on the bed with Granny watching the early sun rise. eyes, her body was healing, but deep inside, her heart still ached. She had lost things and was no longer sure about her future. The doctor had confirmed after a scan at the clinic that her womb was no longer present, as if she had a hysterectomy. Aliyah cried like never before. She wasn't angry at God, no, but she had questions and she had regrets. Me did want picnic granny, she confessed. Me did want the joy me never get as a child. Me did want the family me mother never give me. Granny pulled her close and stroked her hair. Me no baby, but you're still here, and maybe, just maybe, God fit use you in another way. You could be mother to more than just one. As for Mario, he was found 3 weeks later roaming barefoot along Spanish Town Road, talking to himself. When the police took him to a mental hospital, he kept repeating one sentence: "The woman laughing at the water, she take me soul." Nobody knew who she was, but Aliyah did. It was the woman in red, and she had vanished. Strangely, Aliyah didn't feel satisfaction. She only felt sorrow because she knew that the people who dug their own graves with their hands would eventually be buried in them. It was only a matter of time. Wagwan besties, thank you for watching this story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. Kindly share the story out with your loved ones and give the story a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye.